what I really want you to understand is that there is no compartmentalizing your subconscious mind. There is no compartmentalizing the things that you experienced in your childhood. And what I mean when I say this is that these themes, these stories that you're telling about who you are, about how the world works, how you get to be treated, right? These things are going to manifest. They're going to show up. The stories will play themselves out in every single aspect of life. In today's episode, what I really, really want you to walk away from this understanding is that you don't know what you don't know. And I promise by the end of this, it's not going to sound all vague. It's going to sound super duper powerful and like profound. You're going to be like, oh my God, I don't know what I don't know. And it's going to be so good. Okay. So I'm going to start this off with a really quick story. I was having a conversation with a woman that I know, and this woman was telling me that she's considering selling a home, buying another home, buying a different home, and renting out one of those homes. And on the one hand, that seems like such a great idea, passive income, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of different ways that I could respond to, this information that this woman is telling me. But the most important way, or the most relevant way for today's episode, is that this woman is somebody who has the identity, the self-perception. She sees herself as a woman who's not shown up for in the world. So a woman with the identity, a woman with the self-perception that she's not shown up for in the world, that's not a woman that's going to have an easy journey buying and renting out a home. And let me just break this down with a couple of things off the top of my head, right? Number one, when you are buying a home, you've got to have a great real estate agent. You don't just want somebody who can sell a house. You want somebody who's capable and competent at selling homes. When you are buying rental properties, there are different people that are going to have different suggestions to you. There are suggestions for you. There are some people that are going to suggest that you buy that home, you live in that home, and then you turn it into a rental property. There are other people who might say, you know what, just buy it and set it and designate it as a rental property right off the bat. And it might cost you a little bit more, but who gives a fuck, because we have the money and the resources to do that. So let's do it this way, right? There could be many, many pros and cons for either one of those plans. There could be a myriad of other plans that I don't have an awareness of because I'm not a real estate agent or somebody who is really, really well versed in that real estate world, in the world of having investment properties, in the world of having rental properties, so on and so forth, right? So number one, you got to have a really good real estate agent. Number two, you got to have the vision. You have to be the kind of woman who can hold a vision for a really good tenant. A really good tenant, the person that you're renting out that home to. Because you don't just want anybody moving into your home. You want somebody moving into your home that's going to care about that space. You want somebody moving into that home that's going to be clean. You want somebody moving into that home that has integrity. You want somebody moving into that home that is deeply and completely supported by money. You want somebody that is moving into that home that has a strong relationship with money. You want somebody moving into that home that is financially responsible. You want somebody that's moving into that home that if they get into that home and they lose their job, they're going to be someone who trusts themselves enough to get another job to create more income for themselves so that they can continue paying rent. It's very important that you have somebody who not only is going to pay you rent, but you have somebody that's going to take care of that property as if it's their own, that they're going to show up and they're going to show up and be willing to do their part to maintain their property, right? when you are dealing with having tenants, you are not just worried about the tenants that you have. You're not just worried about the real estate agent that's going to get you the home. Now, and I don't want to say worry, I want to say, things that you need to think about, things that you need to take into consideration. You've got to take into consideration who are your tenants going to be. You've got to be the kind of woman who can cast the vision for the kind of tenant that she wants in her home, who can believe and expect, receive, experience, and manifest that dream tenant into that home. Because if you don't, it's going to be a fucking nightmare, isn't it? So you want to have that experience. You want to have the kind of person, I'm not sure if it's a lawyer that's going to be drafting up leasing agreements for you. You want to make sure not that you just have any lawyer. You want to make sure that you have a lawyer who is capable, who is competent, that is drafting up leasing agreements. Are you working with some sort of third party that is supporting you in managing this property, that is supporting you in managing your properties? Are you the person as the homeowner that is dealing directly with the tenant, or are you dealing with a third party that is going to be responsible for communicating with those tenants, who's going to be responsible for really focusing on the maintenance of that property, so that that's not something that you have to think about and you have to deal with. When it comes to owning a home, and it comes to the maintenance that comes with the home, and it comes to all of the bills, which can, fall under that maintenance category, there are so many things that you have to think about. And when you are the woman that people don't show up for, this woman is somebody that people don't show up for. Not because she's broken, not because there's something unlovable about her, but because of the story that she's telling herself about who she is, how the world works, and how she gets to be treated. You're a woman who allows people who do not have integrity into your world. And when people demonstrate to you with their actions, with their behaviors, that they are not people with integrity, that they are not people who have good intentions towards you, you allow them to stay. You're not the woman that's going to rent out a home and have a great time raking in all of that passive income, being financially supported by that venture. That's not the experience that you're going to have. And I'm not just talking about that woman. I'm talking about every single woman, okay? You're not just working on your relationship with men and healing this, and this, so that way you can get your soulmate. You're working on your relationships. You're working on your interpersonal trauma so that you can be the woman who lives a life where human beings show up for her, where she relies on human beings. She trusts human beings to show up for her. She gets her needs met by other human beings. If you're not that woman, you haven't done that work, it's going to manifest. And I'm not just talking about relationships. I'm talking about whatever that trauma is, whatever that pain is, whatever the root cause of the unsupportive stories that you are telling yourself. Whatever that root cause is, it is going to manifest. You cannot compartmentalize your trauma, okay? There's a Miley Cyrus song that is playing in my head, and it says you can change your hair and you can change your clothes. You can change your mind. Long story short, you can change a whole bunch of shit. You'll always find your way back home. And what that means is that you can change your job. You can break up and get into a new relationship. You can move to a different location. We've talked about this in a previous episode, haven't we? For those of you who are loyal listeners, then you probably are already aware of it. And if you're not, then I suggest going back and listening to every single episode that I've ever posted until you find it. You're welcome in advance. And the audio quality, well, the quality is fine, but the audio level, the volume level might be a little low. Fuck it, I still think that it's worth it to go back and listen. So it doesn't matter where you go, your mindset and your identity is following you. You're not going to change something in your physical reality and get a completely different life. That's not how this works. That's not how reality works. And so you think that you've got this great idea to, have rental properties, and it sounds like such a really great, amazing thing. But what you don't understand is that the difference between you and the person who has several rental properties that are being managed by a third party group or corporation, or somebody that they are in business with, the difference between you and that person is that they expect to be supported. The difference between you and that person is that they trust themselves as a business owner. The difference between you and that person is that they trust themselves and they trust their ability to get good, high quality tenants inside of their homes, inside of their apartments, inside of what the fuck ever it is that they are renting out. You've got to be a woman who can hold a vision. And this is why Matthews is always talking about the greater idea, the bigger picture. It's never about what your current goal is. It's always about the bigger picture. You don't just want to know how to achieve your goal so that you can get that next client. You don't just want to know how to achieve your goal. You don't just want a formula to achieving your goal so that you can get the next client, so that you can get the next raise, so that you can blah, 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 whatever it is that you're choosing to create right here and right now. You want the formula so that you can create this success repeatedly. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know. And what I mean when I say that you don't know what you don't know is that sometimes your subconscious mind, because it's outside of your awareness, meaning the stories that you're telling about who you are and what the world is, they're going on outside of your awareness. You're telling those stories on repeat in your subconscious mind. So you don't know what stories you're telling until something manifests in your physical reality and it reflects that story back to you. You don't know what you don't know. So what happens when you take on this business venture, and I'm not talking about, it's not exclusive to rental properties and different things like that. That's just the example. What happens when you take that next step, when you get into that next level position in your company, in your corporation, when you get those next clients, when you get that increased level of sales in your business? What happens at that next level when something that you were completely unprepared for occurs? What do? You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's alive within your subconscious mind that you are not yet aware of. And you can't know it because it's subconscious. That's the fucking definition, right? The second that you become aware of it, then you become consciously aware of it and you can change it. And that's, how you have empowerment. But until that happens, you don't know what you don't know. So what do? What is your only option? What is the only logical option that you have? You have got to develop the mindset skills. You have to develop the mental capacity to become aware of what is being reflected back to you. And you have to develop the mental capacity to shift it. You have to develop the mental capacity to overcome adversity. You have to develop the skill to identify what your goal is. I'm finding my words. You have to develop the skill to identify what your goal is. You have to develop the skill to align your own identity with one that aligns with your skill. What does that mean? That means if I want to be the woman who has rental properties all over the world, I need to start seeing myself as that woman. That woman thinks differently. That woman has different resources available to her. That woman is treated differently. That woman has a different relationship with humanity. That woman has a different relationship with money. That woman has a different relationship. And it's I said humanity, and humanity is too vague, but I've already given a million different examples. Because right now, the woman that I'm talking to the woman that I was speaking to, from the energy that she's in, what's going to happen? She's in the energy. She has the identity of the kind of woman who finds a house, buys a house. What happens? Oh my God, the house is a money pit. Meaning the house is something that she buys, she invests in, and oh my God, this is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad, and the plumbing is bad. So we've got to change the plumbing, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do this, and this needs to be completely renovated. This has to be gutted. There's something faulty with the foundation. We've got to bulldoze the entire lot. Whoa. Suddenly, this is a project that needs more money and needs more resources. But that woman isn't a woman who perceives herself as being supported by money. That woman isn't a woman who trusts herself to make money. That woman isn't a woman who trusts herself to generate income. So what's going to happen? She's going to become aware that this is a money pit. How was she not aware that this was a money pit? Well, because she went into business with people who didn't have integrity. So the people who sold her the house didn't tell her that she should hire a third-party inspector to come to the home, right? Somebody who was not going to profit whether or not the home was sold, a third-party inspector to come through and inspect the home and make sure that it is safe and make sure that it is up to code and make sure that it is all of the things that a home needs to be before you buy it. She doesn't have an awareness of that because she's the kind of woman who deals with people who don't have integrity. She's the kind of woman who sees the red flags and continues moving forward. So she buys the home. That's the money pit. And because she's the woman who doesn't trust herself to make money, because she's the woman who sees herself as not being supported by money, who's not supported financially, this thing that she thought she was going to take this money, put her money into it, now it needs more money. Now it's calling for more. She doesn't have more. What's going to happen? She's going to give up. She's going to sell the money pit home. And maybe she's going to sell the money pit home for less than what she paid for it. Some way, somehow. She's going to lose money. She's going to lose time. She's going to lose confidence in herself. Then what is she going to do? Because of her thought patterns, because of the way that she has already been thinking, when things aren't going her way, she's looking at what's happening in the physical reality, and she is allowing that to determine whether or not she's happy or sad, whether or not she has a positive expectation. She's going to see the money pit experience unfolding before her. She's going to look at her relationship with money and she's going to say, owning a rental property isn't for me. Owning a rental property is so hard. Only people who have parents that will give them small loans of $1 million can own rental properties. Owning rental properties isn't for me because I'm a Black woman. Nobody wants to support Black women. Oh yes, this is also a woman who has the perspective that people don't support Black women, that people will try to get over on Black women, that people will go out of their way to hurt Black women. When that woman has that perspective, that belief system, who is she going to attract? Your reality is always going to prove you right. That's how this works. So you're telling the story that people don't support you, that people take advantage of you, that people don't show up for you, that people aren't good people, and you just have to settle for it. You are self-sabotaging with your own thoughts. You are self-sabotaging with your own identity. But let's talk about a different woman, or a different version of that same woman. The version of that woman who has the right mindset tools The version of that woman who has the right mindset tools, well, what is she going to do? From the very beginning, she's going to see herself with an amazing home. She's not just looking for a home that looks good. She's going to place herself in the end state. I found the perfect home. Top to bottom, the perfect home. All of the right people, all of the right resources, all of the right everything that I needed came together. And this is the perfect home. Now, the woman that sees herself with the perfect home, she's going to become aware of the unsupportive thoughts that are telling her she can't have the perfect home. No, let me get more specific. She's going to have thoughts that are telling her it's hard to find a home. She's going to have thoughts that are telling her the market is terrible right now. She's going to have thoughts that are telling her about 1,000,001 different difficulties. She's going to experience discouraging thoughts. But that woman is not going to run away from her discouraging thoughts because she's holding a vision. She's holding a vision of herself with the perfect house. So when the discouraging thoughts happen, she's not going to keel over. She's going to move through those thoughts. She's going to shift those thoughts. And she's going to shift those thoughts at the root. She's going to look at herself. She's going to look at her own identity. Why do I have to be the woman who has a difficult time finding an amazing home? Why does that have to be true for me? And the answer is that it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. It obviously doesn't. The woman with the right mindset tools, she's going to do the work to where she gets herself to a place where obviously she gets to find the perfect home. And obviously she gets to find the perfect home with ease. Why? Because she's blessed. Why? Because she's favored. Why? Because she's loved. Why? Because she's the generational curse breaker in her family line. Why? Because she's the person who's going to create generational wealth in her family line. So obviously a woman as anointed as she, obviously a woman as chosen as she is going to have an easy time finding the perfect home. That energy, that conversation, that vision holding. Oh, from that place, she's attracting thoughts. She's attracting experiences. She's attracting people. She's going to start finding different resources. Maybe there's a convention, a workshop, a course, a something that somebody has already gathered the information that she needs. Somebody who has already successfully gotten rental properties. She's going to attract a mentor. She's going to attract support. And not only is she going to attract a mentor, not only is she going to attract support, but she's going to attract whatever resources that she needs in order to get it. Why? Because she's anointed and favored and blessed, and she's the generational curse breaker of her family line, of course. So a different version of that woman is not even going to end up in the money pit house. But let's just say that you were at a different point in the timeline. Let's say you got the money pit house some way, somehow. You start to realize, whoa, things are not going the way that I want them to go. The woman who has the right mindset tools can turn anything around. There's no such thing as too late when I am the creator of my reality. There's no such thing as it's gone too far when I am the creator of my own reality. One of my favorite Bible verses, and when I say it's my favorite Bible verse, I mean it's the Bible verse that is speaking to me the most right now, and I don't remember it. It's something along the lines of like, if God is for us, then who can be against us? And it's from Romans in the Bible. If God is for us, then who can be against us? There's no such thing as too late, because if God is for me, then who can be against me? There's no such thing as it's going to take more money to renovate this home than the home is worth. You're never going to see a profit on this. There's no such thing as I can't do it, because nothing can be against me when God is for me. That woman, that version of that woman, she's going to attract a different contractor who's singing a different tune, who has a different price range, who has more integrity, who moves in a different way. That woman is going to attract different resources. That woman is going to understand after the first or the second or the third or the fourth person who comes into her life that can't fully support her in realizing the vision of having the greatest rental property on planet Earth. She's going to realize, I keep attracting people who are not helping me. They're not helping this cause. Why is that? Why do I keep attracting people who are not helping me, who are not helping this cause? Why do I keep attracting people who don't have integrity? She's going to follow that experience. She's going to follow that into her subconscious mind. She's going to become aware of the fact, oh, I see myself as an unsupported Black woman that people take advantage of. That's not a story that's helping me. That's not a narrative and an experience that's helping me. And so she's going to use the mindset tools that she has to shift that narrative, to turn that shit around, to turn those beliefs on their heads. She's going to build out a new, more supportive belief system, a supportive belief system that says if anybody on planet Earth deserves to be financially supported, it's a Black woman like me. If anybody on planet Earth deserves to have investment properties all over the United States of America, it is a Black woman like me. If anybody in the world is worthy of having the money to fix this home, to create this passive income, to grow and expand her diversifying fucking portfolio, it is going to be me. If anybody's worthy, it's me. If anybody is loved by God on this here earth, it's me. If anybody is blessed by the Lord, it's me. If anybody is anointed to do it, it's me. And I know that it's me because the vision was put in my heart. And I'm not broken, and God didn't make a mistake when he made me. That's a woman who walks around with conviction, and she attracts resources. She attracts people. She attracts places. And I know this is true because I am this woman. And I'm not speaking about rental properties, but I am speaking about life and business. Over 5 years, I have gone from an experience of people telling me, no, you can't move to New York. No, you can't do this. You have to do this thing that you don't want to do instead. No, God is telling me that your idea and what you want to do is actually a no. And what you really have to do is some other thing that actually would benefit me. And that's what God is telling you is going to be the best thing that works for you. Over 5 years. Well, not really 5 years because I haven't been living in that reality for quite some time now. But in the first couple of years of business, it was shitty advice after shitty advice after shitty advice after shitty advice. If you know me, you know that I love Beyonce. Okay? Started my business in 2019. One of the first business spiritual mentors that I had was a woman who you would have think Beyonce beat her ass and stole her firstborn child the way that this woman hated Beyonce. My first business and spiritual mentor was a Beyonce hater down. And after spending my time with her and being around her, I started disliking Beyonce and not completely, fully accepting and relishing in the gifts that are Beyonce's artistry. I was having a completely different experience when I first started this business. I was attracting mentors who were telling me that what I could do wasn't good enough, that were telling me that my marketing was childish and that's the reason why I wasn't getting sales, that I had to change this and this and this, that I had to do a whole bunch of shit that I did not want to do in order to be successful. People were repeatedly giving me the message that I wasn't good enough and that if I wanted to succeed, that I had to be miserable, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually miserable. That's the message that that I was getting again and again and again and again for years. Were they telling the truth? Of course they weren't telling the truth. Well, they were telling their own truth. But were they telling the ultimate fucking truth? Obviously not. So why was that in my reality? Because those were the stories that I was telling. I was telling the story that in order to succeed, I had to suffer. I was telling the story that I wasn't good enough, that nothing I did was good enough, that nothing I ever did would be good enough. So the mentors that I attracted reflected that back to me. And as I healed, and as I shifted, and as I became more confident in myself, as I became more willing to bet on myself, as I became more willing to trust myself, I started attracting different mentors, different women on a different wavelength, women singing a different tune, women with a different message, women who were telling me that everything I needed was within me, women that were telling me that I could trust myself, women that were telling me that I had this, women that were telling me that I got this, women that were telling me that I was enough, women that were telling me that there was nothing I had to do and nothing I had to be, that there was no standard that I had to meet. Those women were reflecting my stories back to me. The stories that I had changed, the stories that I had shifted. When I started being on my own team, when I started being my own support system, when I started being my own cheerleader, when I was refusing to listen to the bullshit, then different resources were able to start coming to me. More supportive people were able to start coming into my life. So whether it's business, or it's investment properties, or it's your next position in your job or in your company, or it's your next client, your next sale, or it's the amount of weight that you want to lose or gain, or it's the home that you want to live in, the next apartment that you want to manifest, the next car that you want to manifest, whatever it is that your goal is. Oh my God, why do I keep burping? I'm sorry. Excuse me. My leg is asleep. I don't have the time or the storage to pause this and freak out, but my leg. Oh my God. Pins and needles in my leg. We interrupt this program. I just need a brief pause. There's pins and needles in my leg and I can't move it. Okay. We're just going to breathe through the discomfort and finish up this episode because we're really just about done. You don't know what you don't know. So number one, you got to have the tools to shift this shit regardless. Whether it's somebody in your reality telling you that you can't do it, a financial circumstance telling you that you can't do it, or something else, something in your own mindset, something in your own identity telling you that you can't do it. You've got to be able to overcome the shit telling you that your dream is not possible. You've got to be able to overcome the shit that's telling you that you cannot reach your goal, that it's not for people like you, that you're not good enough, that you're not talented enough, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not likable enough, that you don't know enough people, that you don't know how to do it, that you are some way, somehow broken and incapable of accomplishing it. You have to be able to overcome those thoughts. Otherwise, you will not reach your goal. You will subconsciously sabotage because your reality is going to reflect back whatever story that you're telling it. You will subconsciously continue to co-create a life of suffering, a life of not receiving, a life of not achieving, as long as those stories are going on in your subconscious mind. So that's number one. And number two, you don't know what is going on inside of your subconscious mind that's outside of your awareness. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you don't know. So you can move through some doubt, or you can get a really great tin it and think that everything is going great and awesome. And then you realize that, your tenant is wonderful, but the third party service that you hired to help manage that property is ripping you off and blah, 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 blah. And boom, that's something that you didn't anticipate. That's something that you didn't think of. It's something that you feel blindsided by. What do you do in that moment? You have to have the tools to overcome. You have to have the tools to adapt. That's how you're going to reach your next level with more confidence than you are fear, because your mind, your brain, which has that primary function of keeping you alive and all of that, your brain is going, I really don't know what it's like over there. I really don't know who all is going to be there. I know the idea. I know the agenda. I know I have a pretty okay understanding of what the day-to-day tasks are going to be like in that position. I know I have a kind of, an idea of what it's going to be like getting more sales in my business. But what happens if I get more sales in my business and people are deeply unhappy with what they, have purchased from me and they want refunds and blah, 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 blah. What happens if this? What happens if this? Right? What if there's this big negative what if sign in your mind that basically says, I don't know what exactly is going to happen over there. I feel uncertain. And when I feel uncertain, I feel unsafe. And if I feel unsafe, motherfucker, I'm not going. That's your subconscious mind. Okay? Word for word. That's a real life quote. You can check your own subconscious mind and it's going to be the same. It's going to tell you the same thing that I just said. If I'm uncertain and I feel unsafe, motherfucker, I am not going. So what you do to overcome that is you become the woman who's confident in her ability to accomplish, achieve, and manifest. You become the woman with a healthy sense of self-esteem. You knew that that's where this was leading, right? We're doing the launch of the I Can and I Should course. It's my self-esteem boosting course, which was made to help committed women just like yourself accomplish, achieve, and manifest their goals with more ease, speed, and enjoyment than ever before. You've got to be the woman with a healthy sense of self-esteem. Our self-esteem is defined by what we believe that we are capable of, what we believe that we can achieve, what we believe that we can do. So when I'm the woman who has self-esteem, when I'm the woman who has self-confidence, I can say, you know what? I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what's going to be reflected back to me in this next level. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what problems are going to arise, but I do know that I'm an overcomer. I do know that I'm a problem solver. I do know that I'm solution oriented. I do know that I'm capable. I do know that I'm competent. I don't know what's on the other side. I don't know what's at that next level, but I know me. I don't know what's at that next level. I don't know what's on the other side, but I know my God. And I know that as long as I have myself, as long as I have my mind, as long as I have my mental capacity, as long as I have my God, as long as I have my angels, as long as I have my ancestors, as long as I have my spirit guides, we can go all day. As long as I have the support that I do, it does not matter what it looks like is against us. Who can be against us if God is for us? What can be so hard and so challenging that I cannot overcome it if I have the Most High on my side? What can be so hard and so difficult that I can't overcome it if I have infinite intelligence living inside of me? If the energy that creates worlds is flowing through me, if my focus creates, what can be so big, so large, so difficult, and so challenging that I can't overcome it? The answer is nothing. That's your confidence. That's your self-esteem. And that's what you need to reach your next level. And it's not just about your next level as in your next goal. It's about your next level and the level after that and the level after that and the level after that and the level after that. Because there is kind of a new levels, new devils situation where you're going to rise up and you're going to be challenged in a new way. in a way that you didn't previously foresee. You're going to become aware of things that you were not previously aware of. But the way that you overcome is going to be the same every single time. The way that you turn the ideas on their head is going to be the same every single time. The way that you shift your identity so that you see yourself as the woman who's on the other side, so that you see yourself as the woman who has what you want and desire, it's going to be the same every single time. The process for achieving, accomplishing, and manifesting your goal is going to be the same every single time. When you master this process, when you master this way of thinking, when you master this way of being, you master the art of accomplishing your goals. And you are a woman who has self-esteem. You're not a woman who has to know exactly what's going to happen before you're willing to let yourself go someplace. You're not the woman who is only willing to go outside when she knows 100% certain what's going to be out there, because the answer is you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And if you're not going to go outside because you don't know what you don't know, you're going to be a recluse inside of the house for the rest of your life. And I don't think that that's what God created for you. Not you, the woman who was made to see the world. Not you, the woman who was made to powerfully serve her community through the connections that she's making, through the visibility that she is allowing herself to experience. Not you. That's not your life. That's not your anointing. That's not your calling. Being cooped up in the house all day because you're scared. That's not it. That's not it for you. That's not what you were made for. That's not who you are. So you've got to develop your self-esteem. You've got to develop the mental tools that you need in order to be a woman who consistently has self-esteem, who approaches her goals with a sense of confidence and certainty. And that is what you are learning inside of the I Can and I Should course. It's a 6-module program. I've said everything that I need to say about it. If you're interested, if you're ready, if it feels like a hell yes in your body and your heart and your soul and your mind, then I would love to support you inside. You can learn more and enroll today using the link in the description or on my YouTube channel, or in the show notes, whatever, where you get the links to the shit. I love you so, so much. I also have a free resource library that I highly recommend that you check out. There's some really good stuff there to start helping you, supporting you on or with your mindset stuff. Other than that, I have nothing more to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Because I didn't give you an intro, I'll give you one now. My name is Natalie Hughes. I'm a life mindset and manifestation coach in my business and on my platform. My job, my passion, my purpose, the thing that lights me up and gets me out of bed every single morning is helping professional women co-create, manifest emotionally fulfilled, purpose-driven lives. I want to see you win in your family life. I want to see you win in your career. I want to see you win in your money, with your finances. I want to see you win in the lifestyle that you are living. And that's why I do this. So if you are into that, then I highly recommend subscribing or following the podcast. Hit me up on Instagram. Send me emails. I love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear how this message landed for you, how it helped you, how it supported you. And if you want more help, more support from me, you already know there are links all over the fucking place depending on where you're listening. I love you, seriously, I really do. And I will talk to you next Thursday.